A warm greetings, everyone. This is coming from Makonnen Sankofa. I am the founder of the International Book Show. So, the International Book Show was founded in May 2020. It's been running for 5.5 years. And over the last 5.5 years, I've had 500 authors, publishers, booksellers, people in the book industry that have been on the shows and showcased their works. This is the International Book Show video show. The format of the show is that there'll be a variety of different authors who each have a particular period of time to talk, and they'll be giving a preview to give you insight in what the book that they've written is about. You may be watching this on P English Literature YouTube channel. You also may be watching this on Facebook. As I mentioned, this is the International Book Show video show. We also have the International Book Show podcast and the International Book Show radio show. So for all news and information regarding the International Book Show, you can join us on a Facebook group, which is, if you put in the International Book Show, we have a Facebook group, or you can go on our website, www.internationalbookshow.com. Without any further ado, I'm now going to hand it over to the first guest on this edition.
Hi there. My name is Yudi Okoro. It's spelled Eudie. Okoro is Okoro. Now, before I'm an author, by the way. I'll come on to that in a minute. A little bit about me. I used to be a lawyer. I used to work in a law firm, and I took redundancy about 2017, and and now I'm an aspiring actor, and also I DJ part-time. And as I mentioned, I'm an author of a book which I released in February 2025. And at that time, I was a particular age. But before I mention the title of the book and my age, I'll just ask you very briefly, if you don't already know, how old would you give me? I wouldn't be offended if you say whatever age you think I am. It really doesn't bother me. But anyway, the reason why I ask that is because I'm regularly mistaken for a woman who was literally half my age. Okay. And so much so that people are always exclaiming and very get very excitedly and say, what is it that you do that keeps you so young looking? Because people I've known for many years, 30, 40 years or so, and they say to me, my God, what is it that you do? You look young all the time. You don't seem to be aging. I do age, but I am aging slowly because of certain methods and practices that I use. And so because of a lot of excitement and encouragement and that people have been making for me for years, I finally agreed to share my secret. And I've written a book titled, I don't know if you can see it, it's called Timeless Woman by a 63-year-old who defies age. Discover how you can revolutionize the way you look and feel within 6 months naturally. It's available in 4 formats from Amazon. It's available ebook, paperback, hardback, and recently it was approved by ACX. And so I narrated an audio version because a lot of people tend to prefer audiobooks these days. So when I published the book, which was in February 2025, I was 63 at the time. 6 months later, I turned 64. I am now 65. And so I'm actually quite happy about revealing my age. I'm one of those people that I don't mind revealing my age at all because I actually enjoy the shocked look on people's faces when I reveal my age. Sometimes if I'm at a party or something, for some reason, if the subject of age comes up and somebody hears about my age, they're almost choking after taken a sip of their drink and say, "How old?" And it goes on like that. So constantly, I am getting people asking me, "What is it you do?" So I can promise you, everything that I do is natural methods and practices that actually helps to slow down the aging process. And everything I do is scientifically backed. When I wrote my book, I sent the manuscript of my book to a scientist that I know, a nutritional scientist, to review the book for me. And he was so excited about it. And one of the comments, he actually made a sort of two-page review for me. And one of my favorite quotes of his, of the review, he says, I love this actually. Let me just try and find it. Um, One of the things you need to know as well is that my book, although it's titled Timeless Woman, is not just for women only, it's for both men and women. And um, and regardless of your age. And as I mentioned in my book, 6 months is all you need to actually change the way you look and feel. 6 months. It is doable, it is practical. I'm not suggesting by any means that you're suddenly going to look like decades younger, because I have been following my methods for many years. But what I can promise you is if you follow the methods and practices I suggest in my book, you will see a noticeable difference, both in your appearance, your health, everything about you. You will find it really, really helpful because when you, as I mentioned to somebody I was speaking to earlier, there is a direct link between your mental health and your physical health. So it's not just physical appearance. Because when you look good, it's because you feel good. And when you feel good, it's because you look good. And it's really so important. And that's why it attached, mentally. This time of the year in particular, is the time of year that people tend to sort of like take notice of their health. But it seems to be for a limited period of time or for a special occasion that people take notice of their health, their weight, or whatever. And maybe somebody's even sometimes maybe looking to prepare for a wedding or going or a big birthday coming up, and they put a lot of effort into looking good, and then after that, and that's it. That's it. But you should approach, health as a lifestyle thing. Um, it gives you a lot of freedom. It gives you independence insofar as not fearing getting older and you're thinking that you're going to have to rely on relatives and friends to look after you if suddenly fall ill. Because if you look after your health, you're not, you're unlikely to fall ill and succumb to a lot of illnesses, that are attached to some of the things that we eat that contributes to a lot of illnesses. And the bonus is that you are going to be aging slowly. So anyway, I'm trying to find this quote. I should have marked it um, before I came on. Just give me a moment. Uh, okay. What he says, the scientist, by the way, is a scientist called Christopher Pickard, Bachelor of Science in Nutrition and Mental Health Toughness. He says, what I love most about UD's book is the relatively simple approach. While there are many modern social media influencers spending thousands, even millions on their health and longevity, UD keeps it within the bounds of what most people can do and everyone can afford. And also, as he mentions, what I say in my book, he says, um, she has guiding rules rather than strict protocols. She calls out cultural norms, looking at what, is happening globally. There is a nice overall look at processes of aging, and she challenges and explains. So you think that black don't crack? Yudi is of Nigerian heritage, just in case you have not seen a picture of her. Now, I'm glad he mentions that because, and I do mention this in my book. One of the things I say in it is, so you think that black don't crack? Because it's one of the excuses that people use whenever they see me and say, oh, you're looking real, oh. And then they say stuff like, oh, black don't crack. That is such an excuse. Black don't crack is actually a political statement by the Black Power movement back in the US. And the purpose of that particular quote is to claim back, that black is beautiful because there is a perception that Caucasian skin is and European looks is the norm. So they're throwing it back um, and regaining the narrative that black is actually beautiful. Black don't crack, but black actually cracks. Black people do crack. Black people, any black person will tell you our skin is high maintenance, and we don't ever think that you should not look after yourself because you are black and you're under this false narrative that black don't crack. As black people would tell you, we always need to moisturize with things like cocoa butter, a lot of emollients, because our skin literally cracks. It goes sort of like an ashen sort of appearance if we don't look after it. So don't ever think that black don't crack and it's the reason why I'm aging slowly. No, it isn't. It's because of a lot of the things that I do, which which is very natural. So I'll encourage people to start looking after themselves now, and not just for a special occasion or for a New Year resolution, that sort of stuff. I am a living example that if you look after yourself, you can actually slow down the aging process, and you will find a lot of tips and the things I do in my book, once again, which is called Timeless Woman by a 63-year-old who defies age. Discover how you can revolutionize the way you look and feel within 6 months naturally. It's available from Amazon. It's an ebook, paperback, hardback, and also audio, which I narrated myself. Available from audiobooks, and I believe iTunes as well. So I'm sure that you will find it very, very helpful.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the International Book Show. My name is Linda Onekwa, and I'm pleased to introduce my book to you, which is actually available on Amazon. So my book is called Forever Youthful. As you can see, it says, feel younger, live brighter, thrive longer at any age. Rika Chayam. I know, obviously, I've introduced myself as Linda Onekwa. So Rika Chayam is my Equarian name. I'm from Port Harcourt, River State, born in the UK, but I'm proud to celebrate my culture with you guys. So Chayam actually means life in Hebrew. Without life, we're nothing. Once we stop breathing, we're not able to carry on our day-to-day basis. So my book, Forever Youthful, is all about aging positively. There are a lot of people out there, once they actually get older, they actually give up on life. No, guys, please do not give up. You're as young, or should I say, yeah, you're as young as you feel. Age is just a number. And my book actually goes into detail about that. I've got 10 chapters in the book, guys. And like I said, the book is actually available on Amazon. I'm a wellness coach. I've been a wellness coach for the last 11 years, and I've been in the fitness industry for the last 21 years, guys. I know it's a long time. Fitness is part of my life. Fitness to me is like drinking water, is like eating on a day-to-day basis. When I hear people, they're not actually taking care of their body, they're not actually working out, I always wonder, like, how do they actually live on a day-to-day basis? I've actually helped a lot of people out there, you know, when it comes to their health, when it comes to their mindset. I've motivated a lot of people. People out there do know who I am. And feel free to follow me on Instagram. My name is Linda Onekwa. I'll spell that for you, LindaOnuekwa. And also my author's name, you can follow me on Instagram, is REKACHAYIM. So please feel free to follow both pages on Instagram. What actually motivated me to write this book is, obviously I have, my dad is 80 years old. And sometimes he calls me to say, my daughter, I know obviously you know about the fitness industry, you're into healthy eating and all of that. What can I do to stay healthy? Because I'm having leg pain, I'm having back pain. I said, Dad, one of the first things you need to do is actually change your diet. What exactly are you eating? Being a Nigerian, you know, a lot of Africans out there can actually relate to me. Our food contains a lot of carbs. Not that I'm saying carbs is that bad, but eating a lot of swallow, eating a lot of meat. Our food contains so much sugar. We have to actually learn to reduce this. It's very, very important. So I had to help my dad with his nutrition. I also told my dad, being in Africa, we're blessed to have a lot of natural herbs. I say to my dad, when you're waking up in the morning, what are you drinking? I want you to stop drinking coffee. I want you to stop putting sugar in your tea. What herbs are you drinking? Are you eating bitter cola? Because anything bitter, guys, is very, very medicinal. I believe in the power of herbs. If you look at the the Bible tells us about the power of herbs. The herbs is actually your medicine. So when you're waking up in the morning, what are you drinking? Like, I start my day drinking chaga tea. You know, I take nettle tea. You know, I take a lot of herbs on a day-to-day basis. I fast. When you're waking up in the morning, are you fasting? You know, how are you seeing your food? So I basically had to tell my dad, Dad, when you wake up in the morning, you don't have to eat anything. Because my dad had a habit of eating bread and tea in the morning, adding sugar. I said, Dad, when you wake up in the morning, you don't actually have to eat anything. You can start your first food at 12 o'clock in the morning. You can start your first food at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The body needs that healing. The more you heal is actually, the more you fast is actually better for your health. The cells need to be cleansed. It's very, very important. So I was able to change my dad's mindset, and that's what basically motivated me to write this book. A few months ago, I actually helped a friend of mine that had prostate cancer. Thank goodness that this guy is actually cleared of prostate. I'm not saying that I actually healed him, but end of the day, I actually changed his mindset on how he's seen food, how he saw food, you know, his mindset about food. So I want you guys to go on Amazon. You need to actually grab my book, Forever Youthful, because in my book, I talk about the power of positivity. If you don't have a positive mindset, how are you able to see your body? How are you able to see your life, you know, in terms of changing, you know, the way you eat, the way you think? In my book, Forever Youthful, I talk about the power of connection. You know, health is also surrounding yourself with the right people. When you talk about health out there, people keep thinking that health is all about what you eat. But what time are you going to bed? Are you on social media before you go to bed? You know, how late are you eating at night? Are you working out? This book, guys, honestly, I can go on and on and on about this book, but it just talks so much. I touch about, you know, age is just a number. Like chapter 1, for example, I've got a title that says, age is just a number, not a limit. A lot of people out there, when they're actually getting older, they let themselves go. They're thinking, okay, I'm getting older, I'm not going to get married. I'm getting older, I'm not going to start a business. I'm getting over, I'm not going to give myself self-care. I'm not going to work out. Age, as long as you're living, as long as you're still alive, age is a limit. Don't define yourself by your age, guys. Please, you know, as long as you're still alive, you can achieve so much. The best thing anybody can do for themselves is taking care of themselves, taking care of their mindset, you know, making sure you're surrounding yourself with the right people who motivate you. Myself, for example, I go out to the gym, I work out like 4 times a week. I surround myself with positive people that will uplift me. Sometimes I call my friends, are you going to the gym today? How is your diet? How is your fasting? I fast on a daily basis. Most of the time I eat once a day, maximum sometimes 2 days a day. Sometimes I do fasting for 72 hours. Sometimes I fast for 2 days. The reason why I'm able to, achieve what I do on a day-to-day basis because I surround myself with people that uplift me, that are very similar to me. So I want to ask you guys, who are you surrounding yourself with? Are they motivating you? Are they helping you? Just because you're getting older, whether you're 40, 50, 70, no matter how old you are, you should never let yourself go. I want you to know that age is a limit. You can actually achieve whatever you want. So my book actually goes about, for example, chapter 4, I talk about eat for energy and not for fuel. I go into detail about your nutrition. You are what you eat. People don't realize that what you eat actually affects your hormone. What you eat actually, excuse me, affects your mindset. And it's very true. Whatever you eat affects who you are on a day-to-day basis. It actually determines the amount of energy you actually get. Chapter 5, I talk about movement. If I wasn't actually doing this interview today, which is a Sunday, I would actually be out there walking, but I might do it because I like to do walking in the mornings anyway. So I might actually go out later for a walk. Movement is medicine. How often are you moving your body? There's a lot of people out there that have a day job. Their career means they have to be in front of the computer on a day-to-day basis. So I want to say to you guys, whilst you're actually on your lunch break, are you going out there for walks? How often are you actually moving your body? Movement is medicine, is good for your circulation. You need to go out there, experience nature. I believe in the power of nature, guys. You need to go out there. I'm a very spiritual person. You need to go out there to connect with your higher creator. Movement is medicine. There's another chapter in my book. I actually talk about confidence in the new youth. A lot of people, once they actually get older, they stop losing confidence in themselves. So how do you provide and how do you improve on your confidence is by being consistent. When you say to yourself, you're going to achieve something, you're going to do something for yourself, when you actually do it, it actually increases your confidence. But I want people to actually take away from my book that through consistency, you're able to achieve a lot of things in life. You're able to have self-belief and confidence in your life. So my book goes into detail about so many things: staying youthful, the power of connection, the ageless blueprint. So I want people to go on my Amazon to get my book, Forever Youthful, because one of the things they'll take away from my book is age is a limit. Mindset is everything. Youthfulness is not just all about how you look outside. It's all about inside, how you take care of yourself. It's all about your mindset. All right. It's all about who you're connecting with. So go on Amazon, grab a copy of my book, Forever Youthful. You thank me later. I also want people to go on my Instagram page, Ricky Chayem, and read the reviews and the feedback I'm getting from people who's actually bought my book. I want them to go on Amazon, type Forever Youthful, read the reviews. It will give you an idea of what my book is about, how it's actually changing lives. I want you to go and grab a copy because you will actually experience the positivity of my book because it is life-changing. It will change your mindset about aging gracefully. Age is not a limit. Your age does not define you. Just go out there and grab my book, Forever Youthful, and it will change your mindset about how you see yourself and how you see your body and how you see aging. Thank you, guys.
Hello. Thank you, Makonnen, for giving me the opportunity to appear on your book show. My name is Beulah Smith Coombs, and I'm here to talk about my recently published memoir entitled They Call Me Guess. But before that, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a retired teacher and lecturer, and I live in London, England. I was born in Jamaica in the parish of Clarendon, in a place named Kellets, which was where I spent my early years before joining my parents in England in 1957, aged 8. They and I are part of what is referred to in England as the Windrush generation. And that is a term applied to those who migrated from the West Indies to England between 1948 and 1971, and was named after the first ship which brought those who came in 1948. Although only published in October 2025, my memoir has been more than 50 years in the compilation, I penned and typed the first 12,000 words, age in my early 20s in 1983, when details about my young days in Jamaica and England were still fresh in my memory. I produced the piece as a dissertation towards the English component of my Bachelor of Education degree, and over the following decades, I added to it periodically. As I said, the title of the memoir is They Call Me Guess, which subtitles Roots, R-O-O-T-S, Roots, R-O-U-T-E-S, and Resilience. But more about the title in a while. The book is organized into 3 sections, and to aid accessibility is divided into chapters with topic headings. In certain sections, I've used Jamaican patois as appropriate to maintain the authenticity of the narrative. It's divided into 3 parts, and in part 1, I chronicle my early childhood in 1950s rural Jamaica, and along with some family history, I incorporate aspects of Jamaican customs and culture to convey a snapshot of Jamaican country life in the 1950s. An example of this cultural representation is in the title of the memoir. The word guess is my pet name and is explained in the book under a chapter headed When a Name is Not Just a Name, in which I discuss with instances the Jamaican phenomenon of the designation of pet and nicknames. Other examples of the book's contents include chapters headed Fiwi Yard, My First Start School, Picnic Duties, which are self-explanatory, and other topic headings are A New Beginning and Streets Paved with Gold, which covers my parents leaving Jamaica and life for my siblings and I afterwards. This section ends with my relating leaving my siblings in Jamaica and describing the journey to England from Jamaica, which took about 20 hours over about 3 days. No direct flights in those days, I'm afraid. Part 2 is a longer section of the book and begins with my arrival in England to join my parents, as I said, aged 8 in 1957, and recounts mine and my parents' lives and social circumstances in 1950s and 60s Manchester, England. For example, housing and employment conditions, situations such as how we survived the big freeze of 1962-63 without central heating or double glazing. We had to rely on coal fires, and I was at school at the time. And I detail all that in the book. Among other topics, I relate navigating my educational journey, including being the only Black child in my primary school. I also tell of my teenage years, especially in the swinging 60s miniskirt days. We used to go cellar parties in Moss Side and so on. The last chapter in that section outlines how racism forced me to leave Manchester. Part 3 sets out aspects of my life after having to move to London, aged 18 in 1967, during the flower power era. Among other experiences, I recount being a secretarial employee before becoming a student and a school teacher in the 1970s Afro and Black Power era. I mean, I used to attend Black Power meetings and took part in some of the marches. I further describe being a lecturer and manager in a college of further education and beyond. One of the last chapters in the book is entitled Reflections, and one of the subjects I ruminate on is the impact and consequences of children being left behind in Jamaica during the Windrush years. As I intended the book to be an informative, social, cultural, and historical document, have incorporated elements of Black history into the narrative. These include, for example, facts about some notable Black people, such as Althea Gibson being the first Black person to win Wimbledon in 1957, and Arthur Wint, who won Jamaica's first Olympic medal in 1948, and others. I've also encompassed general information such as how my family and I reacted to certain external events like the Kendal train crash in Jamaica in 1957, the Notting Hill riots in 1958, the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, and other national and international occurrences. Additionally, I have intertwined throughout the memoir an historical overview of the changing genre of music played at home and at social events within the Black community over the years. The target audience for my book is universal. It's for people of all groups and ethnicity, and this is especially for our children as a first-hand history lesson. The memoir would also be nostalgia for those of a certain age. I have here reviews from two people who have read the memoir. The first is from the proofreader, and she says, "This is a well-written book and was really enjoyable read as it beautifully distills a generational narrative that I think our children should read." The second is from someone who is an author herself, and she said, "It's a wonderful narrative that should be used in schools as a reference. It is well-paced, informative, and intermingles local, country, and world history seamlessly. I hope that this important document also gets distributed in the Caribbean and elsewhere the diaspora finds itself." The memoir is actually my second book. The first was published in 2022 and is called My Uncle Robert, The True Story of a World War I Jamaican Soldiers. And it is an account of my mother's brother, who was 20 years her senior, who fought and died for Britain in World War I. It describes how, through a series of coincidences, my family discovered documentary evidence about him, enable us to trace and visit his resting place in a cemetery in Belgium. Most of the contents and the historical perspective of both my books are also facets of British history. For example, about the World War I soldier and life in Manchester in the 1950s. They are my contribution towards documenting and preserving our own social and cultural past, which I think we should produce ourselves. And also, hopefully, it helps towards a greater knowledge and understanding of our collective heritage. I hope that you find my books of some interest, and both of them are available on Amazon in paper and Kindle formats, and also from Waterstones. Thank you for listening.
My name is Thomas Hutchinson, and I've written a book, and it's called From Dream to Doorstep. Now, as I said, I'm a carpenter and joiner, and I've been in the construction industry 40 years now, and I've been teaching carpentry and construction for the past 15 years or so. And I've noticed a pattern over the years, and I've wrote this book, From Dream to Doorstep, especially for homeowners, builders, and tradesmen in general. The idea about this book is to take the homeowner from the concept of having an extension built right through the process to completion. Currently, there are so many confusion about having work done on your property, whether it's an extension, a loft conversion, garage, basement, any form of work you do in your house require certain steps. And it's important that these steps are followed. In order to get a satisfactory completion of your project, there is documentation. There's a process, and that process underpins the success of your individual project. So just a little bit about my background before we go back into it. I was born in Jamaica and I came to the UK aged 13. I attended junior school, boys' school, secondary boys' schools in Reading, Berkshire. And I'd done very well at woodwork, done very, very well at woodwork. And as a result of that, I was awarded a 4-year apprenticeship with a construction firm in Reading. And I spent 4 years there learning the craft, working under some magnificent tradesmen who shared their skill with me with no hesitation. So after my apprenticeship, I continued in the construction industry as a self-employed carpenter, builder. A lot of my work was in the domestic sector, where I would do loft conversion, fitted kitchen extension, complete renovation. And one thing that I've noticed from time and time again, how the project fails. Project doesn't really fail because of bad workmanship. It doesn't fail because of the vision of the client, no. The reason why they failed is lack of communication and clarity of the process. Most owners, they really do not understand the process, and because of that, there's always confusion. And it is so sad to see a project reach to a point where it cannot go any further because of complication. Very costly at that stage. The job is not finished, it's halfway through, but the job is stopped for some reason. Now, this book takes you from your dream right to the doorstep of your extension. Here it tells you what is your responsibility. What documents do you need? What is your relationship with the builder and the general tradesman on site? What questions to ask? In fact, here is a checklist. Before you can even start, you need to tick all of these boxes before you're ready to start. So I just give you a little idea now. So the idea is that you want an extension, you want a kitchen extension, that's your dream. A bit more space. So the first thing you need to do right away is to contact an architect, not necessarily the builder. Contact an architect. The architect will then do all the drawings, all the specification, do the costing so that you've got a control price. So now you're in control, you see. Once you get that control price for the project, you are now in control. So is at that stage, then you would invite builders in, 3, preferably, reputable builders, to give you a quotation based on the content of the information that's supplied. In that way, they all got the same information. Please do not just get a builder in to give you a lump sum price without written details and written documents and contracts. You're heading for chaos at the end. So you get back now all the quotes from different builders. And at that point, remember you've got your control price. It could be 20,000, 40,000. But your project has been cost. Everything has been nominated. And now you've got the specification in your hand. You're in control. So you've got 3 quotes. At that point, You need to select one. It's not necessary to select the cheapest quote, but you need to investigate the builder. Number one, have they got insurance? Are they happy for you to see their previous work? They got references. Have you visited their yard, their workshop? Things like that. So this book sort of gives you those things that you need to do before you start. And it also gives the builder some responsibilities that he needs to operate as a builder. How he's going to conduct himself on your property, how he's going to talk to you, how you're going to communicate. Yeah, I've seen it time and time again. And that's why I decide, I mean, I've made mistakes myself. In the earlier days, I've made so many mistakes. I've learned the hard way. And I wish I had something like this when I first started out. And after 40 years, I've decided that I will do something. So this book, you can get it on Amazon, and it's called From Dream to Doorstep. And it does exactly what it says on the tin. You know, it's all about protecting your investment, your emotional state. Everything is in this book that you can follow. It's written in simple language. You don't have to have a technical background to understand it. I've made it as simple as possible. It's not a hard read. You go through it and you will see the stages that you need to go to get that dream extension. Yeah, so once again, you can visit the website. It's called artstreetcoachingcio.com. There you'll find a book as well and other information regarding what we do. So if you want to work with me, you know, to take care of all the paperwork for you and to oversee the complete project from start to finish, I will work very closely with you, stage by stage, removing all that stress and confusion, taking you right to your dream extension. Well, thank you very much for having me. And as I said, you can get the book from Amazon, and it's called From Dream to Doorstep. And my name is Thomas Hutchinson. Thank you very much for having me.
Greetings, this is Newbie in the Gifts books. And today I would like to recommend a very good book. It's a new book out, and it's in the collector's edition for this company that deals with all different types of topics. So this one is called Stories of People's Civilization, African Ancient Origin. And this is written by Robin Walker. And he actually did a breakdown of the origins of man up until the different civilizations. And the reason why I chose this book for the beginning of the year is that it's always good to know where we're coming from, and from there where we're going. So he actually deals with the topics, he does an introduction into the ancient African origins, and he breaks it all down into different developments as well. So what we have here is he talks about the evolution of African prehistoric cultures. And so he's broken it right down to the very basic and do a build up. So he talks about the early history of Nubia and Egypt, or what we say now Kemet, the lower chapters. Then he goes on to talk about the early history of I don't know, Tunisia and all the other different African countries. So if you want to start like a history into the African civilization, this book is excellent. beautiful color, a lovely image as well. So what Robin does, he also does courses in which you can attain and your knowledge on the history. So what it is with me, I do a genre of different books, but my base books is history, and always like to recommend history for beginners, media, and advanced. Now, one of the things I like about this book is the way it is written. It's easy English and it's not too complicated. And therefore, you could read it in sections. So you don't necessarily have to go from um, the beginning or in the middle. You could just choose a particular topic and read it, but it's best to start from the introduction and go further down. And also, a lot of people always talk about the medieval, but we also had a medieval in Africa as well. And we had the Nubia section, and also we also had he talks about the Turkish Empire in the Nile. So there was always different people coming into Africa, taking over and creating their civilization within the country. So as time has gone on, I would always recommend that you keep up to date with what's going on in Africa with the latest news. So far, everybody's talking about Burkina Faso, and that country is called, it means the upright man. So one of the things I would also recommend is that you watch this beautiful show, the International Book Show. I'm really proud of Makonnen Sankofa in getting authors all over the world now. It's just expanded from the time he started. So it is one of the things that I would always say to authors as well, because I've got a special relationship with authors, is to just keep writing. If a topic comes to your head, write it down and start developing it. And before you know it, you've got a book. And that's talking to me as well. You might be wondering what my t-shirt is all about, but it says, proud to be Black. You can get this book via me from Nubian Ligis Books. Thank you for listening. It's a short synopsis of this particular book and highly recommendable. And not only in your collector's item, but for you to actually read, because we have too many books that we buy and don't read. So thank you very much for listening, and I look forward to seeing you all again on the show.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Michelle Akiba Kubri. I'm a born Jamaican and I've lived in the UK for almost 20 years. And throughout those years, and even prior to that, I journeyed into poetry and storytelling. And I'm in a chapter of my life where I'm a homemaker and also I am a mother of 3 wonderful children. And in my journey of becoming a mother, I discovered in a fantastic way that I can write down beautiful stories. Now, I've always been involving performing as poetry and writing stories, being in drama. Growing up in Jamaica, we have this fantastic culture of dramatizing everything, whether just with the children, during free play. We didn't have as much toys as we would have now, so we'd act out a lot of things. When we're in a class and there's free time, I would get involved in dramatizing things. And even when I was going to the University of the West Indies, I got involved in drama, and that was a major part of my social life. And it got me involved in writing scripts, doing stage productions. I was a part of Irving Hall Drama Society, and for 1 year, I actually led a stage performance, and we actually got prizes. So that journey brought me here where I am. As I said, being a mother, I found myself, bedtime routines, we're telling stories, we're sharing stories, and during that process, I realized that, wow, I could actually write down my stories because I love performing. I love performing, and I've seen myself create beautiful things in the moment, whether it's in my own family or a part of a general group, because I also did this as, you know, as I said, performance storytelling, or what some people would call oral traditional storytelling, or even, you know, a older word for it is a folklorist. Yeah, so I see myself as a folklorist and a poet. So as I said, my name is Michelle Akiba Kubri, and I've written my first beautiful book, Imti and the Magic of Kwanzaa. It's a tale of a journey of survival and resilience. Now you can get this book, a beautifully illustrated book by a human being. Yes, no AI. And you can get it by contacting me via email at Ubuntu Publications at gmail.com. And let me spell that for you. So that's UBUNTU Life LIFE Learners LEARNERS Publications PUBLICATIONS at gmail.com. You can also find me at www.ubuntuLifelearners.com. So let me tell you about the book. So as I said, this story is called Mti. MTI is Mti is a Kiswahili word for tree. Mti and the magic of Kwanzaa. Now Kwanzaa, you'd notice it has an extra A on it because it's Kwanzaa for the holiday celebration, created by the US organization that was led by Dr. Malana Karenga in United States of America back in 1966. So I decided to write my story around the principles of Kwanzaa. So my book takes families in a journey within the forest, and it's a very special forest. This forest is in East Africa, and I deliberately did that because the Kwanzaa principles, as I said, is spoken in Kiswahili, which is mainly spoken in the eastern part of Africa. So I said to myself, why not take the story within that forest? Because there is unique creatures that we don't normally see. So my book will show you what these animals look like. Some of these animals look like. It will take you into the forest, and the main character is a tree, which is who I called Mti. And she goes into a journey where there's something suddenly happens, and there's a disaster, and she's left alone, and she has to use the principles of Kwanzaa to take herself out of what would have been seen as a tragic situation and make it better again. She decided to solve her problem using the principles of Kwanzaa. So why I chose the principles of Kwanzaa? Because they are fantastic principles to live by. So let me just briefly introduce you to them for those who don't know about Kwanzaa. So the 7 principles, what you call in the Nguzu Saba, yeah, and the first principle is umoja, which means unity. The second principle is kujachakalia, which means self-determination. The third principle is ujima, which means collective work and responsibility. The fourth principle is ujama, which means cooperative economics. The fifth principle is nia, meaning purpose. The sixth principle is kuumba, means creativity. And the final principle, the seventh principle, is imani, meaning faith. Now, I thought to myself, these are beautiful principles to go by, to live by. And so it shouldn't be just at the last 7 days of the year, which is from the 26th of December to the 1st of January. That's when the holiday Kwanzaa is celebrated. But the principles of Kwanzaa can be used throughout the year. Each and every day, we can take a principle and use it to guide our day. And so, I wrote my book to help families like myself to live under these principles to make stronger families, to have better relationships with each other, to have families that are based on good, strong values, that even when children are grown up, they still have a bond with the family, they still have a bond with the community. And so it's my vision, and so I believe the US organization that created it, and all the ancient wisdom, because it wasn't new when Dr. Milena gathered it all together. It was already there in Africa, and he decided, okay, and his researchers said, okay, these are some principles based on the harvest of harvesting food, that, okay, we've done all this work to harvest, to plant the food, to clear the land, to plant the food, to make sure that things are not eating away at the plant, to protect the crop, to feed the plant, to guide it, and to harvest the plant. And it's celebrating the work that was put in. So this can also be aligned with how we do our daily lives as a people. How do we do family? How do we make our families better? How do we take care of the house? How do we learn the things that we need to learn? How do we treat each other as people? How do we pay attention to what our gifts are, our talents, and nurture them and feed them in the way that we should? And so that's why I decided, okay, I've used the principles of Kwanzaa, and I've also drawn upon the forest, and I took it in the forest as an analogy, yeah, to learn from the forest. Yeah, because to me, one of the reasons why I chose the forest is because it's one of the most peaceful and, what I would say, a place that creates wellness. And we need more of that. We need more wellness, and we need to realize that we can solve problems. Even when we meet a difficult situation in life, we can turn it over and make better. So these principles shows us how to solve a problem and make better of it, and even create an even better place that we would have left it. And that's based on the sixth principle, which is Kuumba. Yeah, so that's what the 7 principles of Kwanzaa is, and that's a hint of what the book is about. The book is not the story in itself that I wrote myself, and the illustrations is also another layer. I didn't personally draw the pictures. However, I gave very specific instructions to an artist that was able to see what my vision is. I didn't share the story with the artist, but they were able to get a clear picture of what I wanted, and they hand drew it and then painted it, and then we had a back and forth of how I want things to look. Yeah, and that was my journey of 3 years, almost 3 years before I was able to get it out, because being that mainly my work is as a mother and a wife, I have to fit everything in between. And yes, it was certainly a journey, but a journey that was worthwhile. So the name of my book again is Nti and the Magic of Kwanzaa, A Journey of Resilience and Survival, by me, Michelle Akiba Kubri. Thank you for having me on the International Book Show.
Hi everyone, my name is A.M. Coleman. I am an author, amongst other things. It's really nice to be here with you. As I said, I'm A.M. Coleman. I'm the author of a number of books. One is called Love My Hair, which is this one right here. And I've also written an affirmations colouring book, which is here. And I've also written a Black History Month book, which celebrates UK Black history, which is here. I'm going to talk a bit about myself and those books. So as I said, I'm the author, UK-based, been in the UK all my life and grown up in the UK, fascinated and also aware of the lack of inclusive books when I was a child, and actually being really passionate about wanting to make that difference when I grew up. So that's where the book came from. So I'm going to talk about the book, Love My Hair. Often people have an idea of what they think the book is about. And to give you a kind of a snippet, the book uses hair as a kind of way in to think about inclusion and diversity and how different we are. So my heart and passion is really for every single child to see themselves in a book, for every child to see themselves as a main character. One of the challenges we have in the UK is that children of colour are not often seen as the main character. And actually diversity is not very well represented across our books. And so that was my heart around my book. So I use this, the title, Love My Hair, as a way to represent those children of colour. You see it's a girl in the book, but actually the characters in the book, as you'll see behind me on the banner, the characters in the book are from all different walks of life, different cultures, different communities, different experiences. And one of the things that the book does, which is absolutely fantastic, is it really gets people to think about being inclusive. So you'll see boys and girls doing different things. It's a great topic, a great way of introducing people into a topic of, can girls do that? Can boys do that? And we might sort of believe that that's really obvious now, but it isn't. There's still circles and environments where actually it's really clear that boys dominate a particular area and girls dominate another. And the book helps to challenge that. The story is about Leah and her exploration of her hair. It's based on one of my family members, because actually she's really, really cool about her hair. She doesn't care what it looks like. She's not driven by what other people think about her hair. She is completely cool with how she looks. And what I realize is that actually we're part of a culture and a community where there isn't that sense of feeling okay about the way you look in many, many ways. We have come a long way, but when you think only last year, the year before, schools were having to write charters about children being able to have their hair in an afro. I mean, can you imagine? So although we've come a long way, we've still got a long way to go. So Leah explores how not only is her hair different to many of the people that are around her, but also the fact that a lot of her friends have also got different hair. Their skin isn't the same, their hair isn't the same, what they can and can't do is different, how they treat it is different. And that's what this book does, explores that. A little thing something else you'll see in the book is that you'll see a boy who's got no hair. That boy's actually got cancer. And again, this was something when I go into schools where I've had a teacher who asked me to have a one-to-one with a child, because she said that this child didn't want to go to school because people were taking the mickey out of her because she had no hair, because she had to have all her hair shaved. So our hair really does kind of identify who we are. There's so much embedded in the way our hair looks and the way that we look. And so, as I said, there's a boy in here who doesn't have any hair at all because he's got cancer. So the way that you can use the book and the ways that you can explore through this book are really fantastic. Something else about the book is that it rhymes. So a member of my family's got dyslexia. And one of the things about dyslexia is very, very diverse. But one of the things about dyslexia is that you don't always feel confident. And so having a book that rhymes can help you. It can help them feel confident because it really rhymes. It's quick, it's easy, and it's really straightforward and easy to do. And for someone with dyslexia, that can really build up your confidence. So it's not a book for older children. It is for young children. It doesn't have lots and lots and lots of words in. Again, it was about encouraging children to feel confident about who they are. So that's this book. So alongside that is the affirmations colouring book, as you'll see here. Hopefully you can see it. And the reason I wrote this book is because people were saying how the main book, Love My Hair, impacted children, and that they really wanted something that could draw on from that, could go a little bit further. So again, this book is for young children, primary school, but the idea of this book is that they have to look at each word and they have to think about what makes them that word. So for example, it might say curious. Well, you know, it's no good just reeling off a load of words. I'm fabulous, I'm beautiful, I'm curious, I'm independent. There's no point in just doing that. You have to know what makes me that. Actually, what makes me really curious? What makes me really creative? Lots of people can say they're creative, but what is it about me that makes me creative? And actually, our education system is very focused on one type of learning and one type of outcome. And what we want for our children is we want our children to feel really confident about being independent and being unique. So one of the things about my books is that I want people to know that being unique is a good thing and it's something to be celebrated. So using this book, children can kind of list all of the things about them that make them that word. And that's a really great opportunity for children to do. I have also, I get lots of people saying, can you do a book about this? Can you do a book about this? So I've actually written this Black History Month book, which celebrates UK history. I go into schools, and often when I say to children, put your hands up and tell me about somebody you know that we can celebrate in Black history. And 99.9% of the time, the children will shout out names from people in America and other places. Those people are amazing. If it hadn't been for Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King and all these incredible people, yes, we might not be where we are today. And we want to celebrate that. That's fantastic. But actually, there are people in the UK who have also done incredible things. Remember, my focus is about our independent, individual creativity that we want to celebrate. So this notebook, as you see on the front, it says, I see greatness, and it actually has a mirror on the front as well, which you can peel this off and you can see a reflection of yourself, a gentle reminder of who you are. I really encourage adults and children to get this. And the aim of this notebook is it is a notebook, but on the front and the back cover, it celebrates men and women in the UK who have done things. So they may have been born somewhere else, they may be born in another country, but they are people who have made a difference in the UK. People that we might not have known, the first woman bus driver, the first woman to open a sewing shop, incredible people that have done amazing things. An amazing scientist, woman scientist who had to fight and say, I can be a scientist, I can be a mathematician as a Black woman. So this notebook is a great way to remind ourselves that actually we are great. There's greatness right here on our doorstep in the UK. And there's going to be a number of these books that come out because I want to continue to celebrate people who have done great things. And I keep meeting amazing people who have done great things. It's really amazing when you think about the fact that we have all of these firsts. And when you have a look at the dates of those, these aren't 1937 or 1928 or 1603. These dates are fairly recent. And it's worth noting that we have come a long way, but we have got a long way to go. And so the aim of these notebooks is to celebrate the great things that people have done. Maybe some of you should be in this book. And actually, I did have the first Black estate agent come up to me and say, I was the first Black estate agent. So you can look out for him in one of the books. It celebrates the great things that people have done. One of the people, as I said, the first scientist, she invented a telescope. She actually had a Barbie made of her. That's really unique. A Barbie, a Black Barbie. Some of these things are not common, and we want to really make sure that we're getting them known and out there. So that's who I am. A.M. Coleman, the author of Love My Hair and the author of the Affirmations Colouring Book and the I See Greatness Notebook. There's a number of books which will also be coming shortly, so do look out for those. If you want to touch base with me and connect with me, please follow me on Instagram, Angel Books 2018. We're on YouTube. We're on lots of other systems as well. So please feel free to follow us and do go to the website where you can order the books, and we do special packaging as well if you'd like that. And that's www.angelbooks.net. I look forward to touching base with you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hiya, my name is Geraldine Miller, author of Noodles, Noodles Everywhere. You can purchase my book on Amazon, or you can get it directly from me, which on my Instagram page, which is Noodles, Noodles Everywhere 25. Thank you. Okay, so I live in Bromley, so I've lived there about 10 years. I've moved from Camberwell originally, so that is where I'm from. But anyway, I'm just going to tell you a bit about my book, Noodles, Noodles Everywhere, and where you can, and how I got to where I am today. So my book is a saucy adventure about noodles, noodles everywhere. It's a delightful tale that follows a young, loving boy called Ramen as he slurps and twirls and gets up to all sorts of mischief with his favourite food. This is Ramen. He's our little prop that we use when we go and read the book in the library, or if we go to play groups or anything like that. Raymond is our guy. So he's there with us. So as I go on talking about it, this is Raymond, in case you don't remember who he is. Our little mascot sits on my table, comes everywhere with me. So I've included some playthrough pictures and a light-hearted storyline. I'm sure this book would be, bring pleasure to everybody, young and old. It's quite a fun-loving book. It's ranged for children aged 0 to 5 years. And so you start reading it and then they'll pick it up after a while because the catchy little line, Noodles News Everywhere, it's on every page. So eventually you read one and then they'll read and follow on, go on like they can read the book, which is quite fun to see. So come and join the noodle-loving hero as a fun-filled adventure and discover the joys of embracing life's pleasures in a steaming hot bowl of noodles. Who doesn't like noodles? So as a dedicated childminder of 20 plus years of experience, I've always been passionate about nurturing young minds and sparking imagination. But then I thought, why not give it a go and write a children's book myself? Because I've read hundreds of books in my years of being a childminder. So I sat down and did a rough sketch of a little boy slurping his noodles and then wrote the words and they just flowed on. And it was quite fun to write, actually. But the last page was honestly the hardest part. But I persevered and I got it right in the end, which I was glad that I did. Just couldn't get it to rhyme or carry on. But there you go. But once it was done, I tucked it away and it lived in a cupboard for about 10 years. It took my grandson being my little muse to finally get me to dig it out and share it with the world, which I was quite happy with, that we actually thought we'd go for it. Now we've turned that enthusiasm into a children's book, this playful tale inspired by my own grandson, who just can't get enough of noodles. This book is a labour of love and I love it, and I hope it brings as much joy to your family as it has to mine. Last year, my daughter gave me the nudge I needed, saying, let's get this book published, and we made it happen. It launched in May 2025. It's a playful ramp about noodles, ramen noodles, spaghetti noodles, they're everywhere. Basically, that's what the book is all about. On the ceiling, on the floor, sticky little bits everywhere. Now, my next adventure is to create an activity book for children with colouring pages, quizzes, dot to dot, number word searches, things like that, all about Raymond. So we'll follow on his life, his day to day, and we'll carry on through there. So we'll see what he gets up to next. My favourite thing is going to book fairs and meeting other readers and parents who are just looking for a book that relates to their child. And I mean, who doesn't love noodles? So it ticks all the boxes. It doesn't matter whether you're black, you're white, young or old, everybody loves noodles. It's a universal thing. So yeah, everybody enjoys reading it. It makes my heart smile when someone turns to the final page and goes, oh, that's such a good ending. That was the page that took me forever to get it right. So I'm so proud when people say they actually like it. So if you have a grandchild, nephew, niece, or any little ones that totally love noodles, then this book is an absolutely must-have. It's perfect for sparkling smiles and slurping up fun. And I can't wait for more kids to dive into this fun adventure. So like I said at the beginning, you can get it on Amazon or directly from me and Noodles Everywhere 25 on Instagram. Thanks.
And that's it for this edition of the International Book Show, video show, author showcase. I hope you enjoyed hearing and watching the authors talk about the different books that they've written. We've had a variety of different authors talking about books on different genres on this particular episode. Please do follow us on Facebook. You can join the Facebook group, the International Book Show. Also, you can go on the website, which is www.internationalbookshow.com. That way you'll be kept up to date with what's happening in regards to the International Book Show and our video shows, our radio shows, and our podcast. Also, if you want to join the International Book Show mailing list, if you go on our website, internationalbookshow.com, at the bottom, there's a part where you actually can sign up to our mailing list to receive emails about when our upcoming shows will be happening. Please do join me again for the next edition of the International Book Show. You may be watching this on P English Literature YouTube channel or on Facebook. So if you're watching it via those platforms, P English Literature, the video show will be uploaded on there. And if you're watching on Facebook, the next video show will also be uploaded on Facebook via the Facebook group. If you're an author and you're interested in featuring on the International Book Show to promote your book, you send us an email. The email address is info@internationalbookshow.com. That's info@internationalbookshow.com. Alternatively, you can go on the website, internationalbookshow.com, and there's a section which says contact us, and you can fill in the contact form. You can also go on to the section that says be a show guest. If you go on, click on be a show guest, there's also a form at the bottom that you can fill in, and then we'll get straight back to you. Thank you for watching and listening to the International Book Show, video show, author showcase. I'm Makonnen Sankofa, and I'm signing off and just saying goodbye, everyone.